Today, we will introduce two leading companies in Malaysia consumer good industry, Nestle Malaysia Berhad and FRASER and NEAVE Holding Berhad. Nestle is a well-established food and beverage company in strong brand, efficient operation, and a loyal customer base, allowing it to maintain stable performance and consistent profitability. FRASER and NEAVE or FNN is also a major player in the beverage and dairy product. While its performance has been more variable, recent improvements reflect stronger efficiency and growth potential. Nestle represents stability while FNN offers growth opportunities within the Malaysian consumer goods sector.
The current ratio in 2020, as you can see on the chart, Nestle record 0.59 while FNN record 2.42. Okay, and then in the 2021, Nestle remained at the 0.59, which is same year with 2020, and FNN increased to 2.69. Okay, and then in 2023, Nestle decreased to 0.61 and FNN increased to 2.95. Okay, the last one is in 2024, Nestle 0.54 while FNN record 2.146. Overall, FNN maintained a much stronger current ratio throughout the period. Next, for the quick ratio in 2020, as you can see on the chart, Nestle record 0.26 compared to FNN, which is 1.51. In 2021, Nestle decreased to 0.20 while FNN increased to 1.68, and in 2020, Nestle slightly improved to 0.21 and FNN record 1.59. Okay, and T4 Nestle declined again to 0.22, and whereas FNN remains strong at 1.79. This shows that FNN has stronger immediate liquidity than Nestle. Lastly, for the net working capital, as you can see on the chart, from 2020 until 2024, Nestle recorded a negative net working capital, meaning its current liability were higher than its current asset. Okay, in contrast, FNN record positive net working capital every year, indicating a stronger short-term financial position. Okay, and in conclusion, based on all three liquidity ratio, FRASER and NEAVE Holding Berhad has stronger liquidity position than Nestle Malaysia Berhad over the 5-year period.
Next, I will explain the leverage ratio analysis for Nestle Malaysia Berhad and FRASER and NEAVE Holding Berhad (FNN) from 2022 to 2024. First, the debt ratio shows how much a company's assets are financed by debt. Nestlé's record a high debt ratio, remaining above 80% throughout the period and increased to 85% in 2024, indicate heavily reliance on the debt financing. In contrast, FNN maintained a much lower debt ratio, ranging around 23 to 34%, reflective a more conservative capital structure. Next, the debt to equity ratio highlight long-term debt relative to shareholders' equity. Nestlé's ratio exceed 100% from 2022 onwards, showing that long-term debt was higher than equity and increasing financial risk. Meanwhile, FNN ratio remained relatively low, indicate a strong equity base and lower solvency risk. Lastly, the time interest earn ratio measure the ability to cover interest expenses. Nestle TIE declined over time, showing weaker interest coverage, while FNM demonstrate a strong interest coverage, especially in early years. In conclusion, Nestle is more highly leveraged and exposed to higher financial risk, whereas FNN maintains a more conservative and stable financial position.
Next, I will explain the activity ratio focusing on the average collection period and inventory turnover for Nestle Malaysia Berhad and FRASER and NEAVE holding BERHAD. First, the average collection period measures how long a company takes to collect payment from customer. Nestle record a shorter collection period ranging from about 21 to 31 days, indicating efficient receivable management and faster cash collection. In contrast, FN show a long and more fluctuating collection period, especially in 2022, suggesting slow customer payment and high pressure on cash flow during the years. Next, the inventory turnover ratio measures how efficiently a company manages its inventory. Nestle consistently records a high inventory turnover than FN, showing faster inventory movement and strong inventory control. FN inventory turnover was lower but improved in recent years, indicating better inventory management and operational efficiency. In conclusion, Nestle demonstrates strong efficiency in both receivable collection and inventory management, while FN show gradual improvement, especially in inventory control.
Now I'm gonna explain about fixed asset turnover between Nestle and FNN. Nestle has a higher fixed asset turnover than FNN, showing that Nestle used its fixed asset more efficient to generate sale. From 2020 to 2023, Nestle ratio increased but it declined in 2024, indicating lower efficiency in that year. FNN fixed asset turnover increased steadily from 2020 to 2023, showing improvement in asset utilization. However, it slightly decreased in 2024. Overall, Nestle performed better than FNN. Next is total asset turnover analysis. Nestle shows a relatively stable total assets turnover from 2020 to 2023, indicating efficient use of its total asset to generate sale. Trust FNN shows a declining trend in total asset turnover from 2020 to 2024. This indicates that FNN become less efficiency over time in using its total asset to generate sale. Overall, Nestle demonstrated a higher total asset turnover than FNN, showing better overall asset utilization. One is account receivable turnover. Nestle has a higher account receivable turnover than FNN, indicating more efficient collection from customer. The ratio increased from 2020 to 2022. But slightly decreased in 2023 and 2024. Meanwhile, FNN showed a lower and relatively stable account receivable turnover, suggesting slower collection of receivables. Overall, Nestle is more efficient than FNN in managing account receivable during the period.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Ramakis bin Zakaria. This slide I will present about profitability ratio. First is gross profit margin. Gross profit margin is that we use to measure the percentage of revenue after deduct the cost of goods sold. This is indicate how the company manage the cost. Refer to the graph. Nestle consistently maintain a highest gross profit margin instead of company FNN. In the graph, the highest gross profit margin was achieved by Nestle at 36.32% in 2020. Next slide is about operating profit margin. Operating profit margin is to measure the percentage of revenue after deducting operating expenses, excluding interest and tax. In graph, show the highest operating profit margin for both company, not much different. For example, at 2020, Nestle has achieved the highest operating profit margin with 30.39%. And 2024, FNN also achieved the highest operating profit margin with 30.29%. But for the 5-year statement, the highest operating profit margin is achieved by Nestle with 30.39%. Third slide is about net profit margin. Net profit margin is revenue that remains net profit after all operating expenses, interest and tax has been deducted. FNS recorded the highest net profit margin with percentage 10.38% in 2024. Nestle has been lowered with around 6.67% in 2024. This difference may be distributed to distinct tax structure or financial costs for the both company. Next slide is about return of asset or ROA. Return of asset is show how effectively company use total asset to generate benefit. In this graph, show Nestle is the higher percent with 90.31%. Here we can see that Nestle maintain a highest ROA as it operate on a asset-light model. Last slide is about return of equity ratio or ROE. This return of equity ratio or ROE is indicate the return earned on shareholder invest by how much profit is produced for every unit. Refer to the graph. Nestle consistently record the higher ROE, around 50 to 100%, compared with the FNN, just around 50 to 60% only.
Overall, Nestlé Malaysian Berhad and FRASER and NEAVE Holding Berhad are both strong players in Malaysian consumer goods industry, but they differ in terms of stability and growth. Nestlé demonstrates a more stable and consistent financial performance, supported by the strong brand, effective cost control, and efficient supply chains. This allows the company to withstand economic uncertainty and make it a low-risk defensive option for investors. In contrast, FRASER and NEAVE experienced more performance variability between 2020 and 2022 due to the high cost and expansion challenge. However, its strong recovery from 2023 onward reflects improved operational efficiency and growth potential. In conclusion, Nestlé is suitable for the investor seeking stability, while FNN offers high growth opportunity with greater risk.